When the Black Hills of South Dakota were settled at the end of the 1800s, some settlers made a curious discovery: a stone carved with the names of men from a lost gold expedition and a short inscription of the fate of most of them. On the surface, this is interesting, but not history-changing in any way until you see the date: 1834. The Black Hills weren't mapped or truly infiltrated by settlers until Custer's expedition in 1874, 30 years after this purported expedition. The mystery of the Thoin Stone sparked new historical what-ifs. Now, the Black Hills had been known to Europeans and their North American descendants for some time. French fur trappers had been by for decades. Some explorers even arrived in the late 1600s. However, no one had ever gone in and come out with gold until 1874. There were rumors, sure, but no one knew for certain. As we saw with Custer's expedition, gold is what led to the U.S. driving the Lakota out of the hills and settling the region. So just imagine if this had happened 30 years earlier. Which brings us to the Thoin Stone and its expedition. The stone itself lists 7 names and a brief clue to the men's fate. Came to these hills in 1833, 7 of us: De Lecomte, Ezra Kind, G.W. Wood, T. Brown, R. Kent, W.M. King, Indian Crow. All dead but me, Ezra Kind, killed by, beyond the high hill. Got our gold June 1834. Got all the gold we could carry. Our ponies all got by the Indians. I have lost my gun, and nothing to eat, and Indians hunting me. An attempt at verifying the story of the stone occurred in the 1950s. A writer, Frank Thompson, traveled to the East Coast in search of the families of the party's members. Thompson located several families, all with surnames similar to those listed on the Thoin Stone, who claimed to have had ancestors who disappeared in the American West. In particular, several members of the expedition had experience with placer mining, according to these stories. This increases the plausibility that the men found gold, extracted it, and were headed out after a year of illicit work. According to Frank Thompson's research, the W.M. King of the inscription is the son of a Silas King from Georgia, along with a T. Brown traced to Missouri. This William King had experience with placer mining. The Indian Crow is assumed to be a Cherokee Indian from the same area as King. Ezra Kind himself is assumed to be the son of a German doctor. As for how the men navigated their way through to the Black Hills, the De Lecomte is assumed to be a man who once married a native woman and previously survived an Indian attack near the hills. Thompson theorizes that this man led the group through the area and may even have survived yet again, though Ezra Kind would not have known that. In the end, it is assumed all of the men died at the hands of the native Lakota. However, even with this theory, controversy remains. Ever since the stone was found in 1887, many believe that the stonemason brothers, Norwegian immigrants Louis and Ivan Thoin, created the stone as a hoax for money. An examination of the handwriting on the stone and of the brothers' handwriting proved this theory's inaccuracy. Doubts still remain, though the more intriguing question is, what would have happened if the men got out alive? We know from the aftermath of Custer's expedition that the discovery of gold sparked a gold rush that not even the U.S. Army could stem and resulted in the U.S. taking over the Black Hills with the Great Sioux War of 1876. It is possible that these events would have occurred 30 years earlier, pushing the Lakota out of the hills they fiercely defended. We also know that this gold rush had pulled the U.S. out of a depression. Would that same depression happen, and if so, how would it end without the injection of new gold into the economy and the madness a rush creates? South Dakota became a state in 1889, less than 20 years after the rush. Would it have become a state prior to the Civil War? If so, what effect would that have had? Would we have had yet another Missouri Compromise situation? We'll never know, but let me know your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to leave a like or even subscribe. There's always more history.